When love becomes a performance and trust begins to crack beneath the weight of silent expectations, even the strongest relationships can quietly unravel. This is the story of Jordan, a man who thought he'd found his forever until a single Instagram post, a planned camping trip with an ex, and a pattern of emotional disconnect forced him to face a hard truth. Sometimes, the person you love isn't the person who sees you. For most of the 2.5 years I was with Leah, I genuinely thought we had something solid. We weren't just dating, we had routines, shared friends, and Sunday dinners at her parents' place that made me feel like family. Linda and Mark treated me like a future son-in-law. Her younger sister Sophie called me her brother in training and always saved me the last slice of pie. It felt real. It felt stable. I didn't realize how fast the bottom could fall out until 3 weeks ago. Before we get into the sweet part, let me know where you're watching from in the comments. If you're watching us for the first time, hit that subscribe button and turn on the notifications so you never miss any news story. It started like any other midweek dinner. Leah and I sitting at our small kitchen table, passing each other takeout containers while scrolling our phones between bites. That's when she said it. Caleb's organizing a camping trip next month with the old crew. He invited me, and I think I'll go. I haven't seen those guys since college. The fork paused midway to my mouth. Caleb, her ex, the one she dated for 3 years. The one who still occasionally left comments on her photos like, "Remember? This weekend?" Good times. The one who made it painfully clear, through subtle jokes and not-so-subtle silences, that he didn't think I measured up. I didn't explode or raise my voice. I just set my fork down, took a breath and said, "I'm not comfortable with that." Leah blinked like she hadn't expected any resistance. "Why not? It's not just Caleb, it's a whole group thing. Emma, Greg, Tasha, all of them will be there. It's just friends reconnecting." "Sure," I said, nodding slowly, "but it's a weekend-long camping trip, intense. With alcohol organized by your ex-boyfriend. That's intimate." She leaned back in her chair and crossed her arms. "Wow, so you don't trust me?" "It's not about trust," I said, choosing my words carefully. "It's about boundaries. Caleb's not just some guy. You have history. And trips like this blur lines, even if unintentionally." She scoffed. "Caleb is ancient history. This is a you problem, Jordan. You're being jealous and insecure." "Over nothing?" I exhaled. "Leah, I'm not trying to control who you see. I'm just saying that certain situations require consideration. This trip doesn't feel respectful of our relationship." She waved me off like I was being dramatic. "I'm allowed to have friends, even if one of them is an ex. You trying to tell me who I can or can't hang out with? That's not a good look." "It's not about control," I said again. "It's about what's appropriate when you're in a relationship. If you can't even acknowledge that this situation is complicated, then we're not on the same page." That was the start of the unraveling. Over the next few days, we went back and forth. I tried to stay calm, tried to explain how certain boundaries weren't about fear, they were about respect. Leah dug in deeper, accusing me of being possessive, old-fashioned, and overreactive. At some point, I realized we weren't even having the same conversation anymore. I was talking about emotional safety. She was talking about freedom. Then came Sunday. That afternoon, Leah posted a long captioned photo of her sipping wine with the caption, "Why do men get so jealous when women have male friends?" Controlling behavior disguised as concern is still controlling behavior. We're allowed to have our own lives. No names, no tags, but come on, everyone knew who it was about. Her friends flooded the comments with supportive emojis and slogans about toxic masculinity and setting boundaries with insecure men. Some of them had met me. That didn't seem to matter. I didn't reply, didn't like it, didn't engage at all. I took a screenshot and saved it. Then I sat with the growing weight in my chest and accepted what I hadn't wanted to admit. This wasn't just about Caleb or the trip anymore. Leah wasn't just disagreeing with me, she was framing me as the bad guy, publicly, without so much as a real conversation that night. I couldn't sleep. I laid in bed beside her, eyes wide open while she scrolled her phone, smiling at messages. Her leg brushed mine, I didn't move. Something had shifted and I couldn't shift it back. The next morning, I got up early, called HR at work, and updated my emergency contact. Removed Leah and listed my brother Marcus instead. Also updated my beneficiary information and medical power of attorney. I wasn't being dramatic. I was being deliberate. I no longer felt safe trusting her with access to parts of my life. She didn't respect that evening. Leah came home from her spin class all smiles and breathless. She kissed me on the cheek like nothing had happened. "Trips officially locked in," she said, tossing her gym bag down. "We're doing bonfires Friday night, hiking Saturday, and maybe swimming at that lake Caleb always." She caught herself, that lake near the old trails. I didn't say anything, just nodded. You're quiet, she said, poking at my shoulder playfully. Still mad? I'm not mad, I said, just processing. Good, she chirped, turning to open the fridge. Because I don't want this to ruin our week. It's just a fun little trip, nothing to stress over. That night, while she hummed in the shower, I sat on the couch and drafted a text to her mother. Hi, Linda. I was wondering if you had time for a quick conversation sometime this week. It's about Leah and me. Nothing dramatic. I just wanted to talk privately. She replied within the hour. Of course, Jordan. You're always welcome to talk. We met for coffee the next day. I explained everything, carefully, respectfully. I told her about the trip, about how I expressed my discomfort, and about the social media post. Linda stared down at her coffee for a long time before she finally said, That doesn't sound like the Leah we raised, but I appreciate your honesty. I don't want to make things awkward, I said. I just didn't want you wondering why I'm suddenly not around. I may not be at Sunday dinners for a while. She nodded solemnly. I understand. I hope it works out, but thank you for coming to us directly. Later that week, I had a similar talk with Mark. He took it quietly, hands folded in front of him, the way dads do when they're trying to hide their disappointment. You've always seemed level-headed, he finally said. If you're walking away from something, I'm guessing you've thought it through. By Thursday, Leah was packing for the trip, rolling up a sleeping bag, stuffing hiking gear into her backpack like she was heading off to a music festival. You sure you're okay with this? She asked. I looked up from the book I wasn't reading. You've made your decision. I've made mine. She paused, waiting for more, but I didn't offer it. Friday morning, she kissed me goodbye. Love you, she said casually, keys jingling. In her hand, be safe, I replied, and closed the door behind her. At 3 p.m., she texted me a group photo from the campsite. Everyone was smiling, arms around each other, the kind of fake candid shot meant for Instagram stories. I replied with a thumbs up emoji. At 9 p.m. She called, said the fire was going, everyone was having fun. Caleb brought his infamous campfire chili. She was laughing. Tipsy, maybe. Miss you, babe. Wish you were here. Have fun, Leah. I said, be safe. That was the last time we spoke that day. Saturday came and went without a single word. No check-ins, no photos, nothing. I wasn't. Surprised, I was done reaching out. I turned off notifications, turned inward, and let the quiet settle. Saturday night, the calls started. 1, then 2, then 5 in a row. I didn't answer. I watched the screen light up over and over while I made tea. She texted, called again, switched to voice notes, demanded I call back, begged, accused, panicked, then begged again. I put my phone on silent and went to bed. By morning, I had 31 missed calls and over 50 unread messages, and I already knew what I was going to do next. I didn't check my phone right away Sunday morning. I didn't need to. Even before I saw the 31 missed calls and the stream of increasingly frantic messages, I knew what I'd find. The silence I'd given Leah had echoed louder than anything I could have said. She was spinning, trying to grab hold of something she didn't realize was slipping through her fingers until it was already gone. I scrolled through the messages one by one. They started with concern. Hey, are you okay? I haven't heard from you since last night. Just checking in. Then turned to agitation. Seriously? Why are you ignoring me? Are you being petty about this? Then, unmistakably, panic. Jordan, please, I'm freaking out. Call me, please, just call me. I'll come home early if you're upset. Just say something. But I didn't respond. I didn't even type a reply and delete it. The time for explaining myself had passed. Leah hadn't cared to hear me out when I was calm and open and looking for a middle ground. Now, when she finally realized something was wrong, it wasn't because she respected what I said. It was because I'd stopped saying anything. I got in my car and drove across town to Leah's parents' house. I didn't text ahead. I knew they'd be home. Sunday dinner was practically sacred to them. I knocked on the door and waited with a container of wine I knew Mark liked. Linda opened the door with a smile that faltered the second she saw I was alone. She's not with you, she asked, eyes flicking past me to the street. No, I said. She's still camping, but I wanted to come talk to you both. She let me in with a soft nod, and Mark joined us in the living room. I stood for a moment before sitting, gripping the edge of the armrest like I needed something to anchor me. I'm not staying for dinner. I started. This will probably be my last time here. I just wanted to say goodbye properly and explain. Linda's eyes filled with quiet concern. Mark said nothing, just waited. I'm breaking up with Leah. The room was still for a moment, the words hanging in the air like smoke. Mark leaned forward, elbows on his knees. I'm sorry to hear that, but I can't say I'm shocked. I nodded. You both deserved to hear it from me, not through her, or worse, online. They listened as I walked them through everything. The camping trip, Caleb, the arguments, the Instagram post that turned our private disagreement into public humiliation. How I'd tried to express my concerns calmly and how she'd turned it into a campaign for applause from people who didn't even know me. I didn't post a single thing, I said. I didn't retaliate. I just watched her treat my discomfort like a joke. She needed validation more than she needed understanding. Linda pressed her lips together, then reached out and touched my hand lightly. You've always been respectful, Jordan. We noticed that early on. And we also noticed when Leah started changing the way she talked about things, when it stopped being about listening and started being about winning arguments. Mark nodded. We hoped it was a phase, but you can't build a relationship with someone who only wants to be right. We didn't talk much after that. Linda packed me up some leftovers like she always did. Mark shook my hand with both of his, holding on a moment longer than usual. It wasn't a happy goodbye, but it was clean. Honest, I left just as Leah's car pulled into the driveway. She stepped out, her messy ponytail still dusted with campfire smoke, backpack slung over one shoulder, face brightening for half a second. Before it dropped, "You've been ignoring me all weekend," she said, before I could say anything. What the hell, Jordan? I was busy, I replied calmly. I had Sunday dinner with your parents. She blinked. Wait, you went to dinner without me? I was explaining to them why I won't be coming anymore. Her mouth parted slightly, the words catching behind her tongue. What are you talking about? I'm talking about the fact that you chose to go on a camping trip with your ex over having a real conversation about our relationship. You mocked my concerns publicly instead of talking to me. You didn't respect me. And that's not something I can come back from. It was just a camping trip, she said, voice tightening. Nothing even happened. And that Instagram post? Was that nothing too? I asked. Because it sure felt like something when you called me controlling to your 700 followers. I was frustrated, she snapped. People vent online. It's not a big deal, no, Leah, I said. Frustrated people talk. Disrespectful people perform. She looked stunned. I think for a moment she believed I was going to cave, say, I'd overreacted and we could work things out. That I'd see the post as heat of the moment and the trip as innocent. But I didn't budge. You can be with whoever you want, I said. Have as many male friends as you want. Hang out with Caleb, go on more trips, post whatever you feel. Like, that's your choice. But I'm allowed to choose what kind of relationship I stay in, and this isn't it. Leah didn't cry, she didn't scream, she just stood there, stunned. Like someone who reached for a door handle and realized the door wasn't locked. It just wasn't hers anymore. I went home that night and slept soundly for the first time in weeks. The next day, I got a call from Marcus. Hey, he said. Leah just called me asking if something happened to you. She said it was an emergency. She what? Yeah, she said you weren't answering and she was really worried. Asked if I could give her your location or something. I let out a short breath. I already told her everything she needs. To know. Well, he said. I didn't give her anything. I told her if it's a real emergency, she should call 911. Thanks, man. Over the next few days, I got small updates. Sophie texted me asking if I was okay. She said Leah was crying to their mom and insisting that I was overreacting to a stupid misunderstanding. But apparently, Linda didn't agree. She told Leah that posting private relationship problems online was immature. That mocking your partner's feelings instead of talking to them was exactly how you lose someone who actually cared. She threw away something real, Sophie wrote. Mom said Caleb spent the whole trip making it weird, trying to flirt with her and bring up old memories. Leah apparently got uncomfortable and tried to distance herself. Guess it wasn't as innocent as she thought. I didn't respond to Sophie right away. I appreciated the check-in, but I didn't need Leah's regret translated through her family. I already knew. You don't make 31 missed calls unless your heart finally caught up to the consequences. A week later, Leah showed up at my door. She didn't knock right away. Just stood there for a second, gathering the courage. When I opened it, she looked tired, worn down in a way that wasn't just from hiking. I want to talk, she said quietly. I stepped aside. Let her in. Sat across from her at the table we used to eat dinner at together. I'm sorry, she started. I shouldn't have gone on that trip. I shouldn't have posted what I did. I was trying to prove a point and ended up hurting someone who's always treated me with respect. I let her speak. I listened. But when she finished, I didn't give her what she wanted. Leah, I said, you didn't just make a mistake. You broadcasted your disrespect for me. You turned a relationship disagreement into a performance for strangers. That's not frustration, that's character. I can take the post down, she offered. I'll even apologize publicly. I didn't realize how damaging it was. It's not about the post, I said. It's about what it represented. When we hit a conflict, you didn't come to me. You went to your audience. Her eyes welled, but she didn't cry. I miss you, she whispered. I just thought you'd come around eventually. I did come around, I said. I just kept walking. She left without another word, and for the first time, I didn't feel guilty. 3 weeks had passed since Leah walked out of my apartment without another word. No texts, no calls, no dramatic follow-ups, just silence. But not the kind that felt heavy or uncertain. This was clean, like the door had finally closed, and for once I wasn't wondering if I should reopen it. I didn't miss her as much as I thought I would. What I missed was the version of us from the beginning, before the passive-aggressive posts, before every disagreement became a referendum on how independent she needed to be. I missed being with someone I thought valued me, not the person who weaponized social media to make herself look enlightened while painting me as a controlling stereotype. Leah, on the other hand, was still fighting the narrative she created. Only now, she was trying to fight it backward. The first sign came from Sophie. She sent me a screenshot of another vague Instagram story Leah posted. White text on a black background. Some people can't handle strong women. That's on them, not me. Sophie captioned it with, she's still trying to justify everything, but it's not landing the way she thinks it is. According to Sophie, her parents hadn't said much publicly, but things at home were cold. Linda, who used to dote on Leah, had become clipped and polite. Mark barely commented during dinner, and Leah, who used to take pride in being the reasonable one of her friend group, was starting to realize her curated version of events wasn't sticking. She keeps saying you overreacted, Sophie texted. But Mom told her flat out, no, he reacted appropriately. You just didn't expect there to be consequences, apparently. That hit harder than anything I could have said. Word had gotten around, too. Mutual friends, especially the ones Leah used to vent to, were quietly backing away. Not because they picked sides, but because no one wants to be the next character in someone's public spectacle. It turns out, people might laugh along with your posts, but they don't want to be on the receiving end when it's their turn. And then there was Caleb. From what Sophie told me, the camping trip hadn't gone the way Leah envisioned. Caleb spent most of the weekend making moves subtle at first, then more obvious, inviting her to revisit old times, reminiscing about shared memories while they sat too close by the fire, trying to create nostalgia out of thin air. Leah, for all her posturing, was uncomfortable. She didn't want that kind of attention, not when it wasn't under her control. She thought Caleb would stay safely in the friend category, just there to validate her independence from me. But when validation turned into actual pursuit, the illusion cracked. She even considered leaving the trip early but didn't want to make a scene. That's when the panic started, the phone calls, the desperate texts. She was trying to reach me not because she missed me, but because she realized in real time what real disrespect looks like. But by then, I had already removed myself from the situation entirely. The final crack came when she tried to get in touch with Marcus again. She called him saying it was an emergency and asked if he could talk to me. He told her flatly, if this is an emergency, call 911, otherwise it's between you and Jordan. She didn't appreciate that, but she finally understood. The circle was closing. There were no more back doors. A week later, she showed up again. I opened the door to see her standing there, looking smaller than I remembered. Not physically, just in presence. Her confidence had faded into something cautious. She held her phone in one hand like it was a prop she forgot to put away. I know you don't want to hear it, she said, but I've been doing a lot of thinking. I stepped aside. Go ahead. She sat down on the edge of the couch, like a guest, not someone who used to leave her shoes under the coffee table. I made a mistake, she said. A big one. I let my ego turn our relationship into a debate, and I didn't listen. I just wanted to be right. I didn't interrupt. I let her keep going. Caleb was a mistake. The trip was a mistake. But the post, that was the worst one. I was angry and defensive, and instead of talking to you, I tried to embarrass you. That's on me. I nodded. Yeah, it is. I'll delete it. I'll post something better. A real apology. I'll tell people I was wrong, because I was. I leaned forward. Leah, it's too late for that. She blinked. Why? Because it was never just about the post or the trip. It's about how you handled the conflict. You didn't come to me. You went to the crowd. You turned me into a villain in your story, not because it was true, but because it made you feel justified. Her eyes started to well up, but I kept going. You didn't want understanding. You wanted applause. And now that you're not getting it, you're sorry. But that's not growth. That's damage control. I loved you, she said quietly. I believe you did, I replied. But love without respect isn't love that lasts. She nodded slowly, stood and walked to the door without being told. This time, she didn't ask me to reconsider. A few days later, she posted something else. A photo of a lake, probably the one from the trip, with a caption that read, "Sometimes the hardest lesson is learning what you lost after it's already gone." It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't performative. It just felt quiet. Like maybe, finally, she got it. Meanwhile, my life was calm, quiet, in the best way. No more decoding cryptic captions. No more bracing myself for conflict, disguised as conversation. I wasn't constantly scanning for disrespect hidden in a punchline. It was just peace. I started dating someone new a few weeks after Leah and I ended things. Her name's Mia. She's not perfect, and neither am I, but the difference was immediate. When we disagreed, she didn't tweet about it. She talked to me once. We debated over something minor, where to spend the holidays, I think. We were clearly on opposite sides, but instead of escalating, she said something that stopped me cold. "I think you're wrong," she said, "but I want to understand why you see it that way." Simple, grown, direct. I laughed, not at her, but at how refreshing it felt to be disagreed with respectfully. And that was the key difference. It wasn't about never having conflict. It was about how we handled it. I didn't need someone who always agreed with me. I needed someone who understood that relationships aren't courtrooms. They're partnerships. You win together or you don't win at all. Looking back, I don't regret being with Leah. I learned from it. I saw what happens when emotional immaturity meets online validation. I saw how public disrespect can kill a relationship faster than any private disagreement. Leah got exactly what she claimed she wanted. Freedom, independence, control over her social life. But freedom without accountability is just loneliness in disguise. And public validation, it fades fast, especially when the people clapping don't have to live with the fallout. I didn't leave Leah to punish her. I left to protect myself. Sometimes the most mature thing you can do in the face of disrespect is nothing at all. No angry post, no shouting match, just silence, and a door that doesn't reopen. She learned that the hard way, and I learned that. Peace isn't something someone gives you. It's something you choose, over and over. By walking away from people who confuse control with accountability and love with performance, in the end, she got her independence, and I got mine too. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel for more of these stories.